Hello friends, we are studying the SYBSc paper 2 CBCS pattern 2020, that is SYBSc Botany paper Plant Physiology, and in Plant Physiology we are studying the chapter 7, that is Physiology of Flowering, that is part 2. In the previous part we have studied about the photoperiodism, that is the use of light for induction of flowering. We had studied that. Now in this part we are going to study about the applications of photoperiodism, then the second concept of that is vernalization, that how this helps in induction of flowering, then the concept, mechanism, definition, applications, and what is devernalization we are going to study. I am Dr. Sangita Kulkarni from the Department of Botany, Radhabai, Kale, Mahila, Mahavidyalaya, Ahmednagar. Now first we will study about the applications of photoperiodism, which we have studied in the previous part, in which I have told you that photoperiod is the amount of light it is taken up by the plants for induction of flowering. It is called as photoperiodism. This is very important because without this photoperiod the plant is not able to flower or does not reach the flowering stage or reproductive stage. Therefore photoperiodism, that is the amount of light, is essential for the plant to flower. Okay, now these applications presently where we are using it. The photoperiod is an important environmental factor of inducing flowering in plants, in long day plants and in short day plants, both these. Okay, therefore this is used artificially also. We are inducing flowering in plants by modifying their conditions. Okay, the application of photoperiod is to improve the output efficiency of agricultural products and promote the development of agricultural industry. That means what is done, that they are provided with artificial light. The light conditions are known now, that which plant requires how much amount of light. So those plants which are growing in polyhouse, they are provided artificial light conditions, whatever is required, and required dark condition, and accordingly the efficiency of agricultural crops is increased. And finally, when it is increased, when there are more flowers, automatically more fruit is produced and it is going to help the agricultural industry. Okay, artificial flowering in commercial varieties can be induced by providing light conditions. That means we have different flowers like chrysanthemum, roses, zerbera, then you are having these carnations. All these are grown in polyhouse. In polyhouse they are provided artificial light conditions, and because of which artificial photoperiod is provided to them, and automatically they induce flowering in plants, and these commercial varieties, their demand increases. Okay, early flowering and fruiting can be achieved by modifying the light condition. This is what I told you, that in polyhouse all these conditions can be monitored, because in the polyhouse we have a very small area which can be flooded with excess of light, and that can be help in flowering and fruiting. So early flowering and fruiting in different crops which you are growing in polyhouse. There are vegetables which are grown in crop house, there are flowers which are grown in crop house, and main aim is to increase the commercial productivity. Okay, off-season flowering can be achieved by modifying the light condition. Even certain flower, naturally they may not produce flowers, but when you are growing them artificially, you can say providing them artificial conditions in the polyhouse or greenhouse, then there are chances that they will flower, and because of which we will get off-season flowers. Okay, and therefore these are some applications of photoperiodism. By modifying them we can get the amount of flowers and fruits. Now the next part which we are going to study is vernalization. What is vernalization? First part we have studied that photoperiodism is essential for flowering. Now the second one we are studying is vernalization is important for flowering. It is the ability of the plant to flower using the chilling treatment. In the first part we had studied that light is essential for flowering. Here chilling treatment or very cold conditions are essential for the plant to flower, or it is the ability of the plant to flower by providing cold temperature treatments. That means the seeds or the seedlings in their young condition or during their germination are provided chilling treatment or cold conditions so that they will flower later on. That is essential to trigger the hormones which are going to form the flowers. Okay. So Lysenko in 1922 initially performed the experiments on chilling treatment of plants, and this definition was given by P. Chode in 1960 as the acquisition or acceleration of the ability to flower by a chilling treatment. The main word is chilling treatment or cold treatment. So when the plants are provided, it is not necessary that it should be provided when the plant grows. It can be in any stage during the development of the plant, and any stage of the plant it can be provided the chilling treatment, which is responsible for inducing flowering in later stages. Okay. The plant's vernalization requirement helps to ensure that flowering time of the plant will not begin when the weather conditions do not support pollination and reproductive development. That is, any time it will not happen. Only when the conditions are favorable, then the vernalization treatment which is provided will allow the plant to induce flowering. Okay, under favorable conditions only the plant is able to ensure flowering using the vernalization treatment. So plants like wheat, maize, jowar, gladiolus, lily or vegetative propagules of different plants. Vegetative propagule means bulbs, corms, rhizomes. These are vegetative propagule. So they require cold condition for some time so that they will induce flowering in their reproductive phases. Okay. So these, when they are initial stages, when the seeds are there, or you can say when the seedlings are there, when they are very small or vegetative structures are there, they are given chilling treatment. Shock is given to them so that due to this shock they will produce the hormone when conditions become favorable for flowering. Okay. Now there are different types of vernalization. So it is shown here that when you provide them chilling treatment, so what happens? It is shown here. When no chilling treatment is given, no flowering takes place. But when chilling treatment is given, and they will start flowering. So it is shown like this. Effect of vernalization. What is the effect? It was given during a germinated seed. So this germinated seed was given cold condition. When it was given a chilling treatment, it resulted, after growing, resulted into good flowering condition. And when it was not giving a chilling condition, under ordinary temperature it was kept, the plant just grew but did not show flowering. Okay. Now the first type of vernalization is called as facultative vernalization. Okay, the plants or parts in which flowering takes place only by once exposed to cold treatment, it is called as facultative vernalization. Okay, the plants or parts, the vegetative parts in which flowering takes place only by once exposed, means even if once we have exposed it to cold condition, they will flower in their later stages, during their reproductive stages. Like example in wheat varieties. In wheat varieties this happens that if you expose them once to cold condition, then they will flower later on. Obligate vernalization. The plants or the parts in which flowering will take place only if it exposed to definite or desired time period. That is, it is not once. It is a particular length of time. It may be 24 hours, it may be 48 hours, or it may be some 10 days. That depends. So some parts, plants or their parts, they will flower only if they are exposed to a particular desired time or definite time period, then only they will flower. So like in example cabbage, it has a particular time period in which cold conditions should be provided, then only they will flower. But this does not happen in case of facultative vernalization. Next, we are going to discuss about the hormone vernalin. As we had studied about florigen, which is a hypothetical hormone used for flowering due to photo period. Okay, here the another name is given vernalin. Vernalin is produced during vernalization and florigen is produced during the photoperiodism. Okay, So this is definition. It is a probable plant growth substance or hormone released by the plant in the process of vernalization and help in inducing flowering in plants. It is believed that vernalization we are doing at the stage of maybe vegetative structures or at the stage of seed or at the stage of seedling, but when it completes its own life's vegetative phase, then only it enters into the reproductive phase. At the time when it enters into the reproductive phase, it produces this plant growth substance named as vernalin, which is probably gibberellin only, or maybe precursor of gibberellin, which is able to produce or activate the induction of flowering. Okay, structurally and functionally, it is considered as an activated gibberellin that regulates plant development and flowering. Even florigen or vernalin, both are considered as the gibberellins. They are basically the activated gibberellins which are responsible for inducing flowering in plants. Melcher and co-workers in 1959 studied the role of chilling treatment in flowering and stated that a hormone vernalin helps in the process of vernalization and is responsible for inducing flowering in plants. So these were studied by many people, and this name was given that because it is a hormone released after vernalization, it was called as vernalin. So this was one example to show that people, they were studying or carrying out experiments that after treating them with chilling treatment, the plant parts, they are able to produce a hormone vernalin which helps in induction of flowering. Okay, the hormone is activated in the winter season, that is during cold condition only. When it is there, this hormone is activated. Now, as we had studied about the role of photoperiodism, we are going to study the role of vernalization. Okay, so vernalization, it is the acceleration of the developmental process by exposing sensitive variety to cold temperature during early stages. So if it is, we want that the plant should flower, it is not with every plant, but few plants, they are basically very sensitive to the cold temperature. So if such plants, like your plants which are growing during winter season, they are purposely grown during winter season because they require cold condition. So naturally, if you grow these plants, they are during their early stages of growth, if they are exposed to cold temperature, then what will happen? They will accelerate the flowering, induction of flowering in their later reproductive stage growth. Okay, during that time they will accelerate the process. Okay, then vernalization requirements are essential in crops of temperate origin. Okay, this is very important because those temperate region plants, they are growing, they are the entire year they are under low temperature, and during that 3-4 months they are in extreme cold condition. So these extreme cold conditions, they are adapted to those conditions, and during this they are growing vegetatively. So they are getting all requirements of cold treatment and the induction. They will produce the hormone vernalin, and during the summer season they will produce the flowers. So large amount of flowers they will produce. You must have seen in pictures that the entire plant is covered by flowers when there is summer season, or you can say spring season. During that time the entire plant is covered because they have already got the motive, or you can say induction, during the winter season. The vernalization pathway is important in many temperate species to ensure that the plant does not flower in the winter season when the environmental conditions are unfavorable for reproduction. So this also I have told you that even if the plant are exposed to vernalization, they will not produce flowers unless the conditions are favorable. So when they get all proper conditions, then only their the hormone get activated and they will produce. So during winter season, because the conditions are very cold, even if the hormone is present, it is deactivated and it does not allow the flowers to, there is no induction of flowering. The required temperature treatment can induce flowering for commercial purposes. It can help in polyhouse cultivation for producing off-season flowers. As we have studied about photoperiodism, similarly vernalization, that if certain plants they require the chilling treatment during their early stages, we can provide them off season to the different plants growing in polyhouse, and automatically it will help in producing or increasing the commercial varieties. That is, by inducing flowering in plants, they may increase the importance of commercial varieties, and therefore this vernalization is also important for cultivating commercial species during the off season, okay, and to give us the flowers. Now the next part in this we are going to study, that is called as devernalization. As we have studied about vernalization, what is it? It is the treatment, cold treatment, that is provided to the plants for induction of flowering. Till now we have studied two mechanisms which are essential for flowering, because this is the important part, reproductive part of the plant, and they are important for increasing the commercial value of the plant. Either the flowers, or because of flowers the fruits are formed. So we have studied what is photoperiodism, use of light, definite amount of light required by the plant for induction of flowering, because of which there is one hormone called as florigen which gets activated and allows the formation of flowers, okay, or induction of flowering takes place because of that. The second process which we have studied is vernalization, where we are providing the plants in any stage. It is not after the completion of vegetative stage. It is at any condition during the seed, during the seedling, the vegetative propagules. At any condition, if they are provided with cold condition, maybe for one time or maybe for few time period, it is responsible for induction of flowering during the later stages of the growth. So this is seen, it is the hormone vernalin, it is activated when it reaches the reproductive stage. The enzyme vernalin, the hormone vernalin, it gets activated and is responsible for induction of flowering in the plants. So both these, photoperiodism and vernalization, can be exploited in polyhouse conditions and allow off-season flowering and fruiting in the plants. So it can be used for increasing the commercial varieties. Now another mechanism which occurs in the plant is called as devernalization. Devernalization, it is the exact reverse of vernalization. Suppose a plant is given cold treatment. So automatically, if that is triggered, it will later on really produce or induce flowering. But suppose we don't want any plant to flower. It has already undergone vernalization. It has received the cold chilling treatment, and we don't want those plants to produce the flowers. So what we do, we carry out the exact reverse process, and we are exposing them to higher temperatures, so that automatically they will revert, that enzyme will revert back and remain in the vegetative state. It will not convert into the reproductive state. So what is the definition? It is the process in which previously vernalized plants or plant parts or seeds are exposed to higher temperatures, causing reversion to original non-flowering state. It is the process in which previously vernalized plants, plant parts or seeds are exposed to higher temperature, causing reversion to original non-flowering state. So suppose you want to keep any plant in non-flowering state and naturally it is exposed to some cold condition, then you can change the condition by providing higher temperatures and making it remain in the non-flowering state. It is called as devernalization. This process is useful for farmers to make the plant product commercially important if there is demand of leaves, stem or roots more than flowers. So if any plant where, like suppose it is spinach or it is coriander or it is fenugreek, methi. So if you want the leaves, palak, if you want their leaves, then in such cases what you can do, we can stop flowering by devernalization. So then you can increase the commercial value. This also can be done in polyhouse by modifying the condition. So here what we have studied in this part, we have studied all, the entire chapter is telling you about two mechanisms, and photoperiodism, vernalization, and at the end devernalization. I hope you must have understood all whatever has been taught to you. Thank you very much.